Welcome back to the AWS Ecosystem Deep Dive series. This is part 2. And if you are new here, welcome. Quick context for new viewers. In this series, we are walking through the entire AWS ecosystem by telling a story. We are building a complete cloud infrastructure from scratch, exactly like you would in a real job. In part 1, we covered identity, security, and compliance, setting up who can access what. If you haven't watched that yet, I would recommend checking it out first. The link is in the description and in the cards above. Now, in part 2, we are building the network foundation. Because before you can deploy any applications and databases, you need to secure network. You need a secure network for them to live in. We are going to cover VPC, Route 53, API Gateway, CloudFront, and many more. If you haven't subscribed yet, now is a great time. This is a multi-part series, and you don't want to miss what's coming. All right, let's continue our story. Access have been given to the team. Your cloud engineers have logged in. Now, what's the first thing they need to create? Let's jump into the AWS console. Think about it. Before you can deploy any applications or databases, you need a secure network environment for them to live in. It's like building a house, you need the foundation first, right? So we come to network and content delivery, going into the menu over here, and then scroll down, you will find network and content delivery right here. And let me walk you through the key services here. First and the most important is VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. This is the most important network service. You will work with VPCs in almost every single project. So what is VPC? Let's click on it and get into the VPC dashboard. This is what it looks like. Think of it as your own private data center in the cloud. It's your isolated network within AWS. Nobody else can see it or access it unless you explicitly allow them. Inside a VPC, you create different things. As you can see on the left, you've got subnets, route tables, internet gateways, elastic IP addresses, NACLs, security groups, endpoints, firewalls, customer gateways, VPN, transit gateways. You have a lot of different kinds of networking configurations that you can create for your private networks within AWS. Specifically, when you create a VPC, you're creating a private network. Within the network, you can create subnetworks, that is, subnets. And this is where you can create both public facing subnets and private subnets. Public subnets are for internet access, private subnets are for your secure applications, which shouldn't be accessed by outside internet directly. In short, public subnets meaning they can be reached from the internet, private subnets meaning they're hidden from the outside world. And you have got route tables on the left here. These are the traffic routing rules that determine where network traffic goes. So if you click on a route table and you can see the route configurations over here, this is how you control it. Then is the internet gateway. Internet gateway connects your VPC to the internet, and you can have only one internet gateway per VPC. Then is the NAT gateways, which are right over here in the left. NAT gateways allow your private resources to reach the internet without being directly exposed. That means when you're creating private subnets and you're deploying your applications, let's say, as an example, your application servers need to download some packages or request something which is outside the network. In those cases, they need to be given internet access securely so that they can initiate the conversation. So NAT gateways comes into the picture when you need internet access to your private applications. Then comes the security groups, which are over here. Security groups acts as virtual firewalls for your resources. And the same way, we have NACLs, network ACLs over here. There are a few differences that you need to understand in order to understand when to use and where to use NACLs versus security groups. NACLs are the security firewalls which act at the subnet level. Security groups act at the application level. And NACLs are stateless, security groups are stateful. Let me give you a real example. You create a VPC. Inside it, you set up a public subnet for your load balancers and bastion hosts, things that need to be accessed from the internet. And you set up a private subnet for your application servers and databases, things that should not be directly accessed from the internet. Your traffic rules ensure that someone on the internet can reach your load balancer, but they cannot directly access your database. The database can only be reached from within your network. That's security through architecture. Let's say you have applications running in your VPC, and those application needs to communicate with other AWS services, but that communication needs to be done in a very secure way without exposing that communication, those connections to the outside internet. So that is where you will use endpoints. And if you want to connect your on-prem infrastructure with your cloud infrastructure securely by creating VPNs, that is where you come into this section of virtual private network, VPNs, and set those configurations up. And if you want to control the communication between different networks that you have created and how the applications in this distributed set of networks need to communicate, that is controlled over here with transit gateways. All right. Next up is Route 53. Going back into the menu, into the networking section, and this is where you see Route 53. Let's click on it and get into its console. You come into the Route 53 console, and on the left, you click on these three lines, and then it opens up the entire set of options that you have within the Route 53 section. Route 53 is the AWS DNS service. Now, what is DNS? When you type www.google.com into your browser, how does your computer know where to find Google's servers? DNS translates that human readable domain name into an IP address that computers understand. Route 53 does a few things. You can register domains directly through it. As you can see, you can come to the registered domains section on the left, click on it, and then click on registered domains to register a new domain. So you can buy your own domains right from AWS. You can manage DNS records and all the settings that tell the internet where your servers are. You can set up health checks that monitor if your endpoints are working, and you can do smart traffic routing, like sending users to the nearest server based on their location. As you can see on the left, over here, you have hosted zones, health checks, and so on and so forth. Within the hosted zones, this is where we can create hosted zones, record sets, and then associate your application load balancers to the right record set. Anytime you need a custom domain for your application, Route 53 is your go-to. It's reliable, it's fast, and it integrates perfectly with all the other AWS services. Now, let's talk about API gateways. This is really important if you're building modern applications. And going back into the menu, into the network section, and at the top, you have the API gateways. API gateway creates, publishes, and manages APIs at scale. Let's click on it and then get into its console. And if you click on the three lines at the top to the left, you will see all the options available in API Gateway. API Gateway, as I was saying, creates, publishes, and manages APIs at any scale. Think of it as the front door to your applications. You know those HTTPS endpoints that users type into browsers or that mobile app call to get data? That's API gateway. You can create different types of APIs. If you go to the APIs at the top and then you click on create API, you have different options. As you can see over here, you can create HTTP API, WebSocket API, REST API, and REST API private. REST APIs are the traditional request response style. HTTP APIs are simpler and cheaper, basically a lighter version of REST. And WebSocket APIs are for real time two-way communication, like the chat applications or live updates. Here's how it works in practice. A mobile application makes a request, API gateway receives it, it routes the request to your Lambda function or your EC2 servers. They process it and then send back a response. The response goes through the API gateway back to the mobile app. API gateway handles security, throttling, caching, all the stuff. Next is CloudFront. And this is a really powerful service. CloudFront is a content delivery network or CDN. Let's get back to the menu at the top. Go back to the network section. And then this is where you can find CloudFront right here. As I said, CloudFront is a content delivery network. What does that mean? Well, let's say you have a website hosted in US East, that's Virginia. A user in Tokyo, Japan wants to access your site. If they have to go all the way to Virginia to get your content, it's going to be slow because of the physical distance. CloudFront solves this by caching your content at edge locations all around the world. So when the user in Tokyo makes a request, they don't go to Virginia. They get the content from an edge location in Tokyo much faster. You use CloudFront for static websites hosted on S3, streaming video content like what Netflix does, accelerating API responses, and really any global application where you need low latency. Basically, if you have users around the world, you probably want CloudFront. All right. Now, let me quickly mention Direct Connect. Most beginners won't use this, but enterprise organizations definitely do. And that service is right here, Direct Connect. Direct Connect is a dedicated network connection from your on-premises data center to AWS. It bypasses the public internet completely. Why would you want this? Well, if you need high bandwidth, like you're transferring huge amounts of data regularly, the public internet might not cut it. If you need consistent, predictable network performance, if you're building hybrid architectures where part of your infrastructure is on premises and part is in AWS, or if you have compliance requirements that say your data cannot travel through public internet. So just know it exists. You will see it in enterprise environments. And there is this other service called Global Accelerator right in the same section. Similar concept, but different use case. Global Accelerator improves availability and performance by routing traffic through AWS Global Network Infrastructure. Now, you might be thinking, wait, isn't that what CloudFront does? Here's the difference. CloudFront caches content at the edge. It's great for static content that doesn't change often. Global Accelerator routes dynamic traffic through AWS Backbone Network. It doesn't cache anything. It just makes the network path faster. So use CloudFront for cacheable content like images, videos, static files. Use Global Accelerator for non-cacheable dynamic content like gaming traffic, IoT data, or real-time APIs where every request is unique. Now, if you're working with microservices, and a lot of modern applications use microservices architecture, you might need App Mesh, and it is right here at the top. App Mesh is a service mesh. It handles communication, monitoring, and traffic control between your containerized services. It gives you fine-grained control over how your services talk to each other, and it helps you observe what's happening in that communication. You won't use this in simple projects, but in large microservices architectures with lots of services communicating, App Mesh becomes really valuable. And finally, Cloud Map, which is right here. This is about service discovery. Here's the problem. In a dynamic environment, your services are constantly being created and destroyed. Their IP addresses change. How does service A find service B in a scenario like that? Instead of hard coding connect to so and so IP address at so and so port, which breaks when the IP address changes, you use Cloud Map. You just say connect to payment service, and the Cloud Map handles finding the current location of that service. That is service discovery. All right, recap time. Let's make sure we're all on the same page. So, in our story, we gave access to our team. That was part one. Now we have built the network foundation. That's part two. And that wraps up part two of the AWS Ecosystem Deep Dive. We built the network foundation. We learned about VPC for isolated networks, Route 53 for DNS, API Gateway for endpoints, CloudFront for content delivery, Direct Connect for enterprise connections, and service discovery with Cloud Map. So now we have a solid network foundation. But here's the thing. Networks by themselves don't do anything, right? They are just the roads. We need somewhere to actually run our applications. That brings us to compute, which is right here, which we will cover in part 3. Now we have the roads built, but roads without cars are pretty useless. In part 3, we are going to deploy applications, EC2, Lambda, Elastic Beanstalk, and containers with ECS and EKS. That's where the real action happens. If you are finding this series valuable, hit that like button and subscribe. It tells the algorithm this content is worth sharing, which helps more people discover it. Follow me on LinkedIn for daily AWS and AI tips, and share this series with your team or anyone learning cloud. The links are in the description. Thank you for being here. I'll see you in part 3.